Okay, folks, good evening. Good evening, Nordic. Back again. The quiet before the storm. Got the convention to go to tomorrow, so there won't be any painting on the weekends. I'll be doing whatever. I don't have any huge expectations of things that I am or am not going to do. Got the first 5 marquee done. And before I decide to start on any more, I'm going to go ahead and try to finish up these tanks that have been sitting over here in the wings. Just need to be based. They have been sealed. Tanks, vehicles. I guess they're vehicles, they're not really tanks since they're not all tanks. Or at least attempt to. So one thing I need to do is, this one actually has screws in it. Good Lord, who knows where the hell I put them. I know I didn't throw them away. Hey Glenn, welcome back. Okay, that big boy's for the Panther. We don't have the one for this guy gooped yet. So what's that leave? 2 more? Okay, so one of these is this one and the other one is the other one. Okay. Now, where in the hell could the screws be? Who knows? That becomes too much trouble, I'll do something else. I just know that I'm not going to get too involved on something today because I'll be away from this. I may get a chance to do a video on Sunday, but we'll see. Sunday evening, not Sunday morning for sure. Let's see. You're moving some of your miniatures around to get them sorted better. I decided I will not switch from 6mm GHQs. I have way too much invested in switch scales. Oh, I didn't realize you still had them. Also decided I will not buy miniatures until the ones I have painted. Even though I hate the sculpts either get painted or quick finishers on it. Well, you're not throwing money at the problem. Better than buying more stuff and not doing anything with it. All right, let's see if I can't track down where the hell the screws are already packed. It is a blessing. Hope you guys can hear me all right over here. It is a blessing to be able to just pack your clothes. That's it. All I gotta remember is to bring my pillow so I don't have a back problem. I don't have a back problem, but hotel beds suck. The hotel that we're staying at is not exactly a fancy hotel, and I will end up waking up with a pain in the neck. So the best solution is just bring your pillow with you. That and the plugs for the phone, and take the phone with me, and I'm done. You know, I don't have to take any dice. I don't have to bring any awards. I didn't have to make any awards. Work was a pain in the ass just to take 1 day off. It's ridiculous. I'll find it eventually. I know about where it is. Oh, that's the T-34s. If you get bored, I could paint them. Shouldn't be here, and it's not here. Okay, perfect. I'll probably be jumping around the World War II stuff, but that's it. I'm not going to jump into other stuff that isn't the World War II. That's just too much. That's just too big an ask. big an ask. Too big an ask? No, too big an ask. So I had something that happened yesterday that had I been in the same mode that I had been for 18 years, I would have been beyond pissed and probably would have quit. I don't mean quit my job, I mean quit what I'm doing. Okay, this is, I want to say they were in the bag, they were in the box, I had the Panzer IIIs in it. Maybe it's outside. Well, you know, I'm not going to let something create that much turmoil. I'll just put it away. F it. I will face the Panzer IV. Yeah, empty box. But I had something happen last night that had happened any other year. That would have been curtains for me. I don't know if I wouldn't have shown up to the con, but I would have given up playing DBA right there. Had I not already pretty much done that. And what that is that you spend a hell of a lot of effort trying to coordinate everything. And, you know, promoting the game and letting people know when it is and don't forget and come here and do this and do the other thing. And then yesterday, one of the guys that was running a lot of the games ended up coming up and he was sick. He's like, I can't make it. So if I would have already made the awards, because that's what would have happened on the timeline, I probably would have had the awards made yesterday and gone to print them. And then I would have found myself having 2 event slots where there was nothing being run. And I already had the awards for it. I would have just lost my shit. So it further goes that to reinforce the point that I'm glad that I did what I did when I did it. So I am done with that part of my life. That would have been, I just have too much of a workload and too much chaos at work. Stuff like that happens all the time at work, and I'm just not willing to bring that kind of bullshit into my house. You know? So I have no big expectations of what's going to happen at the show. I'm not running anything. I'm just going to run with the flow. But to have to, you know, that would have just, I would have lost my shit. I also ordered what is my Holy Grail Hex Encounter 3 days Gettysburg using my store credit. Okay. Well, hopefully you get it in good shape and there's nothing wrong with it. I'm only saying because that kind of stuff can happen. Okay, so we can glue him down. Actually, I want to find out which one of these things. I think it's the one that's actually fatter is the one that's here. And we're operating with readers. We don't have the contacts out. So yeah, that's this one. All right, so we'll move the Mark 4H off to the side. I thought these screws were here somewhere. They are here somewhere. It's just where. See, like here's one. Oh, here's a whole bag of them. Well, let's get a Phillips. That was a good tip about hand sanitizer to clean paint off brushes. I'm glad it worked for you, John. I like, I don't get a power out of, keeping things, and you always, the thing that bums people out, the thing that bums me out more than anything else, and I try not to let it get to me, but, I let things, I get emotional sometimes, is, I don't do the videos for people to kiss my ass. I do them because it's something cool. And as I like to say, I do a lot of this stuff. My big motivation is to do this because it keeps me entertained. It keeps me on track. There's still one inside here. Excellent. So we just need to find one more, and I think it's right there. And there's nothing more discouraging when somebody says, oh, that's no good. You need to do this. You should do this other thing. Well, there's a lot of different ways of cleaning your brushes. I'm just showing you one that I thought that was pretty cool. And it's pretty easy to do. I'm not trying to get anybody to do things a certain way. And if you don't like it, you can go blow smoke up your mom's butt. I don't care, But I have a pretty low tolerance for people that do smart aleck kind of remarks. You know, there's one forum that I'm a member of. I don't know why. It's a car forum, and those people are the worst. Now, given there's some people that ask some stupid questions, but every single time there's people that are just like freaking negative and stuff like that. And I'm sorry, I'm not getting paid enough for being negative in my hobby. This is all a positive thing. So if I see something cool, I want to pass it on to you guys. You know, that's how the Dark Ages happen. We all have to discover stuff on our own. There's lots of stuff that I do that I've benefited from something that somebody else was nice enough to make a video on the on YouTube. Look at that! I was able to put it back together, and you know, so I have pretty much zero tolerance for people being, you know, well, that's no good. You need to do something else. Like, you know, I'm just kind of doing my thing here. I don't care if people paint a different way. Do you guys want to do 28s? Do 28s. I'm not keeping anybody from painting 12 millimeter figures. You know, but that's one thing that happens when you start getting into World War II. And I remember it from the days, the old days before I was doing DBA on the miniatures page. You know, why using that rule set? Because I fucking like it. That's why I'm using that rule set. I'm not telling you to use a rule set that's out of print. Oh, you should try this. No, I'm super anal retentive with, you know, my stuff. So kind of the, you know, the new and improved way of doing it is I'm going to do what I like to do, and eventually, you know, we'll make videos, and I may put it out for other people to play if they're interested in. And if they don't like it, well, they don't have to play. We all win together when we enjoy our hobby. Absolutely. Absolutely. And there's some things that I've encountered that I've told you guys about that I'll be the first to admit I didn't come up with them. But, you know, you can't see everything. Like I saw one thing, it's just so simple, it's absurd. This guy had done, and it was a modeler. It was a modeling thing or whatever. And this guy says, you know, if you're trying to take off like a panel lines like on a turret, like let's say you got a panel line here like in the middle of this turret, and you're trying to scrape it, use the back of the X-Acto knife. And I'm like, that is so freaking simple. Like, you know, the back of the X-Acto knife, that never gets dull. You know what I mean? It's just always, and I'm like, wow, that's brilliant. I don't know who said it. I mean, it wasn't my idea, you know, but hey. Okay, let's glue these jokers down. We got these 3 tanks to do. Actually, the only tanks that are here. We can glue them down. So let's get Mr. Epoxy out. The Dark Ages technically only happened in Western Europe. The rest of the world was still under Byzantine rule. What about China? I'm painting from Fallschirmjägers to play games about German vampires landing in England to kill Churchill. Oh man, that'd be like The Werewolf Has Landed. I like that movie. You're going to be able to have some green Americans who just get their ass kicked. They just happen to be in the way. I like that movie. That's a movie that has a lot of actors in it. A lot of actors? It has a few actors in it that I really like, but but the movie is done well, unlike Kelly's Heroes. China never had a Dark Ages. Ah, my favorite white man. Barnes, welcome. Oh, I assumed you were a dude. I'm sorry. I do that. People of my generation do that. So I'm off to the convention tomorrow. It's not very big. We'll try to do a convention video. It's really not very big, but, you know, it's always good to see different stuff. I tried catching some videos of Salute, and, God, there's so many videos, I don't know where to begin. Honestly, it looked completely different than I was expecting it. It was, you know, because it's one of those things that the roof is so high that it makes everything look like it's empty, you know. And I'm sure there was a lot of stuff there, but a lot of people complaining. Oh, it's not worth it for one day. Oh, it costs too much. You know, people in the UK. I would have liked to go. Look at the wares. But there's lots of videos that I haven't even scratched the surface of looking at them. China's dark age will come when they invade Taiwan. Oh! I hope not. All right. I think this is enough stuff. If not, we'll mix more. All right, let's start with the little guy. He's little because he's 1/76 scale. We do not want any of this potentially. So it looks like a shopping mall where a war game broke out. Yeah. One thing, the first thing I noticed though is the gamers in the UK look just as weird as the gamers here. That's the first thing. You heard it here first. I don't think that I just looked at a few of the videos, and the first thing I noticed is I would have a really hard time hearing that. I bet that hall is really, really loud. And I'm used to playing games in a more quiet environment, so I don't think I would have done really well with that. I don't think I would have done really well with that. But if I went, I'd be like, oh, okay. Let's say, you know, I'm like, oh, it'd be cool to see this manufacturer. But there's just a lot of manufacturers that just aren't in business anymore. So I don't know what I'm going to get at the show. Part of me wants to go to the show and be uber frugal, and then go. Since I was so frugal, I'm gonna give myself I'm gonna let myself get something on Etsy that's 3D printed. I don't know. I was really pumped the way the maquis turned out, especially the basing, because I knew that the figures I was going to be happy with them. But the basing, I remember I went from individual basing. It looked like this. You know, this was circa mid '90s. You know, this figure is fine if I zoomed in on it. It's as good as anything I do now, but all these bases need to be reworked like those other ones. And actually, what I did was the edge. I kind of did it in between thing because I used to paint the edge of them chocolate brown for my DBA stuff, and then I went to black, and then what I did with these guys is I did the in between. I used this German camo black brown, and I really liked that. So it's a darker brown than the base color, and I was really happy the way it turned out. So that was one of those things that I was concerned about. Just kind of like when I got back into this scale and just started like, I'm gonna do tanks, and I'm not sure if I'm gonna like how the tanks turned out. Well, that's not a problem anymore. I'm happy how they turned out. So I just don't want to have those moments of self-doubt, because that's what will bring you down as a painter. You'll be like, I don't know what I should do here, so I won't do anything at all. And then guess what? Nothing gets created. So one gamer was complaining about the lack of windows at Salute. Wargamers don't like the sunlight. Wargamers are weird, man. And I just don't understand how they're that weird, because we all have to have jobs, right? Well, and so we all have to deal with people to a certain degree. I think that I am a loner, but I'm really not, because I just like to socialize with people that have the same interests that I do. And it's just so weird to be. It's so rare to come across people in the real world that are interested in anything even remotely with what we do. Like, even if it was, if you could go somewhere and encounter people that were into history, they aren't around here. I actually did encounter. I went to a gathering one time a couple of years ago, and I encountered somebody who was really into history. I was like, "Oh, cool. Oh, well, we're just getting ready to move away." Well, you mother, you know. So I don't even need to game that much. I've always said I'm more of a painter than I am a gamer. Um, I can always turn the computer on and get a game on, and anybody can play a game. I've I'm blessed that I have kind of a clue how to do this, so we're going to keep this thing going. I took pictures of all these things before they were repainted, so when I post them, I like putting pictures of, hey, this is what it used to look like before. Heavy ass model. Heavy ass miniature, toy. I guess it's probably closest to toy. Alright, and then we'll mix a batch just for Mr. Panther. Honestly, most gamers piss me off. I've had bad experiences with the gamers and generals over the year, and now I would rather solo game. $15mm fantasy. Well, as long as you play with the right people. I've had a better time in the last 6 months, or less than 6 months, hanging out with you guys than going on Mondays and actually gaming with another human. Because I've just gotten to the point where if I'm not playing a game that gives me enough decisions and choice and motivates me to paint stuff, what am I even doing this? You know? Okay. Let's make sure that we decide which way it's going to be. Yes, we want it that way. Got it. When I started doing a little bit of my research project on my Panthers, and I started really learning a lot, I'm like, oh man, I wish I hadn't painted this one with the numbers on it. I would have gone about it a little differently. But it's like, look, this Panther thing looks like shit anyways, and it looked like crap. So whatever I did to it is definitely going to be an improvement. So just put it on the base. If you want to get more Panthers, and you want to get decals for them or whatever, to make them look right, then I will let myself get them when I'm out of tanks. You know. That whole Panthers and the Zimmerit thing is kind of an annoying thing. Like, this vehicle shouldn't exist. This vehicle doesn't exist. This is a Panther A. It's not the super early Panther A, because some Panther A's had what they call the letterbox opening for the machine gun. This has the ball mount in the hull. None of these should have come out of. These would have all come out of the factory with Zimmerit already on them, and that happened all the way into the early G's. So technically, unless something weird happened with this one, this vehicle shouldn't exist. I'm sure there were some, but you're talking to like one vehicle out of 100 would probably be like this. So it's something to consider if I'm going to buy another model of this, but I already have this thing, so what am I going to do with it? Not do anything with it? Sometimes you can know too much stuff and oh great, we got the videos backwards. Son of a bitch. Alright, let's see if we can fix that. The plague of the backwards video. There we go. Okay. Marcus. Hey, your decals right here. Marcus was nice enough to send me some decals. By the way, those decals that I ordered from Skytrek still aren't in. They're supposed to come in. When? Tomorrow, which is the first day I'm away on the convention. Blue Moon Landschnecks. Yeah, they're pretty good figures, I think. Okay, so we're going to let these things sit there and percolate. We have the base for this, which we've already cut out, but we need a goop. Here it is. Let's get this out of the way before you have a problem. And we still have to put a machine gun on here, but it's not a big deal. Yeah, the internet gives everybody a voice, and some people don't deserve a voice because they're out to cause trouble. You know, they're just being overly negative. Like somebody had made a comment that, oh, he didn't like this. He didn't like the way this material worked because this looks like it has hard edges. I'm like, that's the whole point. That's the whole point of having hard edges. Because, you know, sometimes they airbrushed them and sometimes they used hard edges. They used both, you know, so. I mean, I could hand paint that on there as well. I mean, they use freaking mops sometimes, you know. I'm sure they probably, if they had palm fronds, they probably would put palm. There's some paint jobs on German vehicles that look like shit, you know. Did we ever discover the 6 meanie? Maybe really the command tank and meant to fool the... I think this is a fool the Allies. So in doing my Panther research recently, which I've stopped doing because I'm just going to discourage myself, this is actually a decal from a vehicle that was in Battle of the Bulge. This is a Battle of the Bulge Panther G that used the 126 in this one. I came across it in one of the books. And... so yeah, it was probably to fool the Allies, I'm thinking. But, where is it? Okay, so I want to look at the spares, and I have tons of spares. These are the parts that I've knocked off that have cut off of the black bases for most of the other vehicles. And I guarantee you that a lot of these will work for these half tracks because they're freaking narrow. So let's take a look at one of these and see how this thing fits on it. Freaking perfect. Okay, does this ugly duckling also fit on it? I like painting ugly ducklings. I don't want to go and buy ugly ducklings, but I already have them. Might as well make the most out of them. Yeah, I think it's the same one will work. Okay, so let's cut out the basing for these two half tracks. Let's go ahead and do that. Yeah, so I think it's a command tank, or it's a how to fool the... One thing that I've noticed is the early German half-tracks, like when they're in Panzer Gray, they rarely have numbers on them. I don't know how the hell that wasn't confusing, you know. But it just seems like they frequently do not have numbers on them. Where is the Cliffers here? Okay, how are we doing about length? I would not mind if this was a little... I actually saw a picture of somebody's vehicles who had them on bases, and they actually are a really good painter. And they had on bases... My bases are kind of minimalist to a degree. I don't want them really, really big. I'm actually fine with the vehicle overhanging the base. And this person actually had them kind of like for a security, so they were bigger than the whole perimeter of the vehicle, and it didn't look right to me. But, you know, that's just my interpretation, you know. You got to do what's right for you. And Don't worry about what other people do. Where is my triangle? That's what we want to do. We'd like to have a moderately square, moderately even edge on that. Here she is. Moderately even edge. Let's pick a number that makes sense, not just arbitrarily cut it. I wish this was metric. I like metric so much more for stuff like this. Okay, that's 3 inches long. We're going to take I don't want to say a ½ inch off. That's a little too much. Let's take that much off. I'm doing this without my supervision. Right? Perfect. Should be close enough to just do like this. I had half of mine to do one of those videos that you guys requested about scenarios. I got lots of stuff for that stuff. But what that would do is I have to clean all this stuff off. So we're going to get to one soon, and we'll probably do a second of them, a second or third of them in a row. I may just do them in the kitchen when there's nobody over there. I don't really want to clear my area just to put all the stuff back. So. I don't know why you stopped painting the Napoleonics. I don't think you were unhappy with them, right? I personally get overwhelmed if I got too many things going on. I don't know how it is late war, but early war, when the German, and we're talking like Barbarossa early war, we're not talking about like 1939, 1940. At most, a quarter of the motorized infantry in the panzer divisions was on half tracks. So for every half track you got, every squad that's moving by half track in a panzer division in 41, 42, of course, there's exceptions to everything, but as a general rule, for each half track you have, you're going to have 3 trucks. And they made quite a few half tracks, but they made a shitload more trucks. Only issue 6mm. I don't have proper bases for them, so I can't be based. Yeah, it's a problem. You can base them however you want if you're going to play with yourself. Well, that didn't sound right. You know what I meant. Just like I want the names of the figures on my stands. You know, that's how I want them to be. You were an idiot and went Adler route for your last Napoleonics. How come? I thought they were good. Oh, Adler Bacchus. I get the two mixed up. Is Bacchus a lot better than Adler? Adler, Bacchus, Heroics, and Ross. Well, you could just go the British route and make them out of card. Take a cereal box. That's a bad idea. And that's why I didn't wash my car. I knew the rain was coming. Adler, far too detailed. Interesting. McPhee's. As in nanny? So I'm going to take, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a look at the convention and go, is there something I really need here? No. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and order something from Etsy, and hopefully I have a good experience with it. Because I think the way to move forward is doing the, is start with the partisans. I think that's a way to do it. Because first of all, it's interesting because you don't know who you're going to get or what they're going to be armed with. McPhee's Miniatures Men. Never heard of it. Horrible interface on your website. Yeah, what I hate is people that still don't have pictures of their stuff painted. You know, not painted. Actually, nobody. Just give them a wash, or don't even give them a wash. Just show me what some of the figures look like. Of course, that probably wouldn't get some of the figures sold. It'd be like, man, these things look terrible. Why am I getting them? Only thing I wish I had is a marker I could write on the back of this. Like, this is the stand for so-and-so. But if I mess it up, then, you know, I got it confused because it was really close to the one I would already specifically cut for it. So if it's that close, it probably won't make a difference. Man, I had some choice words for Blogger way back in the day. They did not make it easy to organize your pictures. So I ended up going with WordPress, which was a hell of a lot easier. But now, you know, people don't go to those sites, or they do. You know, you can see that YouTube's where it's at. People go to. I mean, it's what I do. I go on YouTube. It's easy. I was watching a video, catching up on videos I hadn't seen in a long time, and this one guy I'm subscribed to that I really like his videos. He, I actually only have one gripe about him, and the gripe is that the way he speaks is always he finishes every sentence the same way, so it's not a problem until you notice it, and then you're like, oh man, this is a little off-putting, but he has really good material. But he does some controversial stuff with history. I wouldn't say it's controversial. It definitely looks at things in a way that we didn't look at it growing up, and I think that's a good thing. But he gets a lot of hate mail, and he feels like it's his duty to address it. And it's like, these guys waste. I mean, he's got a shitload more subscribers than I do, but that's supposedly what he does for a living. But he feels like he needs to respond to everybody that's a hater. I just, you know, there's some people out there that just cause chaos. And I've wrote him a couple times and said, dude, man, you're doing a great job. Don't let these guys bring you down. And, you know, just moderate all your comments so people can't just put stuff on there and cause turmoil. Because there's some people out there that just want to cause problems. Just like that one, the Facebook page of that artist Giuseppe Rava. Everybody knows who he is. He's prominent doing Osprey stuff. He posted something just this last week that said, this is, I usually have like, you know, top bad comments, and this one took the cake. And it was somebody that had posted about, he'd posted some picture about Roman soldiers. And then the guy's comment was something along the lines of, what's so cool about them? They're all fascists. And it was like, I couldn't resist commenting on it. I said, you know, that's the thing about the internet. Before the internet, we didn't know that people this stupid were all over the place. And it doesn't matter whether you've been to college or not. There's some people that didn't go to college that are pretty stupid. And there's some people that went to college that are pretty stupid, you know. Looking forward to seeing new buildings. Yeah, any chance tackling that farm in the near future would be great with those maquis. So here's the problem with the farm. And this is 20 years ago, okay? So I could do a better job with this. The main problem this thing has is it's too damn bright, okay? I'm scared, and it shouldn't be. I should just jump in. I'm scared of my first real vehicle building attempt is a damaged one. And that farm is damaged badly. And it has a lot of like bricks strewn all over the place. And I think it's going to be overwhelming. So I'd like to try some buildings that are in good shape before I did that. And again, it's just one of those things that's always kind of like sitting in the back of your mind. If somebody held a gun to my head and said, you got to paint this next, and I did it, I'm sure I'd be happy with how it turned out. Tony, did you hear Hasbro Wizards of the Coast sent Pickerton thugs to some guy's house over leaked Magic the Gathering cards? Yeah, that thing has a ton of rubble, Marcus. I also have kind of this strange idea with bricks, and I'm not sure that the brick color is going to work out with France. You know what I mean? Because bricks aren't always this color. You know, they aren't always like this. But that's the only thing, you know? But yeah, that's and it might just be one of those things that I'm overthinking it. You know? Hold on a second. Let me overthink this, right? Where is the extra? Let's make sure this is magnet. It is. Okay, perfect. There is a lot going on in those buildings. I mean, a lot, and I think it's overwhelming. You know, I think, and I've seen other people do videos, and I just don't have the experience on it yet. I'm sure I'll kick it out of the park, but we want to. Yeah, these French dudes are going to be great. They already are, and I haven't even played a game with them. Or at least I like them. There's lots of stuff I see on the internet that I don't like. I don't feel like it's my place to tell people I don't like stuff. I don't want to discourage folks. There was a guy, I forget what it was. It might have been DBA or whatever. And this poor guy, you know, was like, "Hey, how did I do this?" It might have been it might have not been DBA. It might have been something else. And I'm like, man, I could really help this guy, but I got to be there in person. It's really hard. Some things are really hard to do over the internet. Some things are really hard to do over the internet. You've explained things to somebody on the internet, and you just keep going round and round and round and round, and it's like all you're doing is you're wasting calories on your fingertips. think about the brick you painted on the marquee. Yeah, the farm could take you a while. Yeah, I don't want to get discouraged. So I would probably, well, we'll see. We'll see. But if I don't get anything at the convention, I mean, I don't need anything, you know. But yeah, scenics, definitely. I'm into scenics. This game's going to look good, or I'm not going to do it. One of the guys that did Battlefield miniatures, I came across an old picture. They had a setup at one of the conventions. I don't know which one it was. It was a while ago because Battlefield miniatures was still in business. And they had taken the two. If you saw my video where I did the unboxing, I figured you have. If you mentioned that particular farmhouse, the two city block buildings. He had them in there, and he had them as Russian ones. And that was encouraging because it actually looked okay. I've always thought of them as Western European buildings, which I don't really have a use for. I always had this idea that if you're going to have a destroyed city block, and if it's in Russia, it's going to be more destroyed than if it was in Western Europe. I've never really vocalized that, but that's kind of, you know, you look at like Stalingrad rubbles, and there's like, sometimes there's like nothing left. Just like blocks and blocks and blocks of just chimneys. Chimneys and just strewn stuff. And so I saw that this guy had done these buildings, and of course it's in 20 millimeters, so you know I get really excited about that. And it was done pretty well. And I asked him, I said, because he had tons and tons and tons of bricks everywhere. I'm like, you know, they sell packs of bricks that you can just throw them in piles and stuff, and they're already cast in a material that's, you know, the correct color and everything. I said, did you use that? And the guy says, no, I used balsa wood. And he chopped up balsa wood, and he said it wasn't exactly the correct size, meaning it was probably bigger. And he painted, but that's just that's a lot of work. But we have an airbrush now, so that's definitely a job for the old airbrush. But all those buildings, those three buildings that I have are heavily damaged. So that's a little scary. Overwhelming maybe might be the better word. All right, let's scoop these three stands. It's raining pretty heavy out there. I hope we don't lose power. Where is this? So I'm off tomorrow. I can't believe how much I had to do just to take one freaking day off. That trip at the end of the year it's just gonna kill me. It's just gonna freaking kill me. I'm planning on being off from like the 15th of December till like January 8th or something like that. That's just gonna be insane. Okay. Let's just apply this to but it does take a while to paint the figures, although I'm a little faster at it than I used to be. I'm still spending a couple hours on each figure. Yeah, it was a lot of fun painting those resistance fighters. Got 5 of them painted, that means we got 21 left. And I never did come across that FT-17 that I was telling Nordic that I had. Nordic wanted to see it the other day. It's here somewhere. I don't even know who the hell even makes the miniature for it. It is a very flimsy model, though. Very flimsy model. 8 viewers, good evening, folks. I'm going to do a little bit of modeling before I go to bed and head to Recon. It's technically Kissimmee, Florida, but it's Orlando. And yes, I plan on doing some videos there. It's a very small, it's a very small convention. It's, you know, a tenth the size of Historicon. But there's still some games there. What amazes me on Etsy, some of the 3D printing prices are all over the place. Not the prices, but the price of shipping. You know, some people are like, man, that's really cheap shipping. And some people are like, man, you don't want any business at all, do you? I mean, just some extreme stuff. You know, anywhere between, you're talking like a $20, $25 item. Some guy wants like $6, that's pretty reasonable. Somebody else wants 17, like that's not very reasonable. Well, it doesn't encourage me to want to buy it. And they both come from jolly old England, so maybe one guy's taking a loss on it or something, I don't know. But there's a couple of shops I'm watching. I would love to paint up some French buildings that are in not very damaged condition. Hold on one second. Let me go check on one thing and I'm going to get some water. Almost all your 6mm GHQ stuff is specifically for France 1940. Studio, the man from tomorrow. Welcome, welcome. Just a little paint break here before I take off in the morning. Drive down about an hour and a half to, it's technically our local con, happens twice a year. Do some videos from there. Probably not anything live because the quality is crappy, but we'll see if we can't put it out the same day. If not, we'll do it on Sunday. Probably won't do any editing. That really adds a big burden on me, is trying to edit stuff. But lots of people like to watch those convention videos. What's going on at the conventions? Okay. That stuff is percolating. Where do we go next? It's 9:10. I'm not ready to stop, but I don't want to take on anything too rambunctious. So I'm going to black base, and these guys probably aren't dry enough to finish them. I'm going to black base some more partisans. Are they running any DBA events? Sure. Who knows? Who cares? Yeah, but who knows if anybody will show up for them. That's the same thing that happens. Every time, you know, I'd set up all these events and nobody would sign up in advance, so you didn't know if people were going to show up and just sitting around kind of waiting. You know, we'd always consistently get always 4, usually 6 or 8 to 12, you know, which is pretty good. You don't have any game conventions here in Malaysia. Why not? You guys too spread apart? Gamers are even more of an elite group of people in Malaysia. I would imagine that's probably, you know, probably the case. Somebody made a comment. Somebody made a comment that kind of, it didn't really upset me, but I don't think it's very accurate. And it was the comment that I made earlier, that it was a response to the guy that said that, oh, well, who cares about the Romans? They're all fascists. That's like somebody made a comment along the lines of, tell me you're an American without telling me you're an American. And the guy was from America. He's from Maryland or whatever that made that stupid comment. But I disagree with that. There are dumbasses here. There's no doubt about it. I've watched the videos. There's dumbasses everywhere. You know, it's not like all the dumb people are here. There's inbred people in England. Last gaming thing I signed up to play was at the game store before it moved. It was for Bolt Action. Maybe 4 people showed up. It was horrible. I showed up because I had a painted force. I don't think I'd... You mean it was horrible because only 4 people showed up, or it was horrible because it was Bolt Action? Well, I don't know if Bolt Action is horrible, but it's not for me. You know? It's not for me. I don't know if I'd want to play a bad game with people I liked, but I would rather play a game that isn't bad, you know? You play with the wrong people or people that have the wrong attitude, yeah, they'll ruin a game no matter what, but... I have no history with Games Workshop games, so the tie-in or the similarity with Bolt Action is useless to me. You know, I actually don't like saves. I don't like the idea of saves. I didn't really understand what the big deal was with them, or why even people did them, until I played a game that was a D6 game like DBA, and I realized why there's saves. It's so that there's more chances of probability of stuff when you're just using one 6-sided die. You know, it's like, you know, you could have a, you know, hit 1 to 6, but then there's a better save on something. Now you got a totally different. Oh, we gotta ditch these glasses. We gotta put the other ones on, whatever the hell they are. These are just regular readers. We need more oomph than that. Well, are they here? Nope. I could move forward with them, but it's just kind of hard to see. Things are too close to you. That's just weird. Weird to be too close to something and you can't see it. I don't think I'm ever going to get used to that. As somebody who's nearsighted. Well, I don't know where they went to. We'll just have to power through it. Bolt Action is not a good game. Historical gaming in this area is dead. Bolt Action works when I store it. Simple. I can teach it to a newbie in 10 minutes. The dice bag idea is fun. Not sure what the dice bag idea is. It might be part of the game. I've never played it. I don't want to play a historical game that doesn't make me want to go read more about the history when I'm done playing it. I think that's the big tie-in for me. So if I'm playing a historical game, and when I'm done playing it and I had a good time, obviously if you didn't have a good time, that's out the window. But if I had a good time, I want it to be able to make me want to read more about that engagement or whatever. If it doesn't, then dice bag activation. Agree. I like the chit pull, or in that case, dice pull activation. I don't know how it works. Yeah, mine's a chit pull. Absolutely. I like chaos, and you have to control how your chaos. You try to manage the chaos as best you can, but the whole I go, you go, hero clicks. Okay, a lot of people complain about hero clicks. We played it for a while. The worst thing about hero clicks is that it's really predictable and you have too much control over who goes next. I didn't like that. I would have preferred some kind of a pull mechanism, because sometimes you want to go first, sometimes you want to go last. You go last, people are in position so you could shoot more of them, or you get your choice. If you go first, but if you go last, your guy could actually get killed before you get a chance to do that. So it's the whole risk reward thing. For the vets of the store, it's either chain of command or rapid fire. I played rapid fire twice recently, and I'm not going to play it again. Chain of command, I would be pretty happy with if I could add some house rules to give some stuff a little bit more detail. But I like the activation in chain of command. I like that. I like how you can manage the dice and kind of put something together. It's simple. You get an activation die for each unit of your force. You and your opponent pull activation dice in a bag and shake it up, and then draw one die, see whose side activates a unit. Yes, but that side gets to pick what unit it is, right? It's not like it's Frank gets to go next. Well, I didn't want to use Frank. Well, tough crap. It's his turn, Okay. So it's the light version of that. Yeah, I like the fact that sometimes things happen and it's not how you'd want them to. That whole chaos thing, I'm a fan of that. Even if it burns you sometimes, the other guy's playing by the same rules and he gets burnt too, Yeah, so it's kind of the light version of that. Yeah, I like the chit pull because with multiple chits per person, multiple meaning two. I guess you could have three if there were an elite unit. The same guy could go twice in a row. It's not likely, and the less figures you're playing with, the more likely it is to happen. But it could happen. The newbies you're talking about, are they people that are already into World War II, or they're just playing it because it's a game? Yeah, lots of playing. Yeah, when you got to activate a guy, it's not who you want. Yeah, so I think soloing this will be okay. I think it's all about the narrative. It's all about the narrative, and this game does a great narrative. Operation Squad, 10, 15 figures aside, yeah. What are they doing with it? 28 mil, I would imagine. Because this scale used to be the shit. But then, most people that are starting it aren't going to, get in 20 millimeter. Not anywhere except maybe jolly old England. Malaysia does not have a long line of war gamers. I am among the eldest. That's funny because I used to be always the youngest guy. Most people are like 10 years older than I am. But I actually should be 10 years older than I am. Huh? But I was always the youngest one. Bunch of old farts. Ran to the pub and battled Shiloh, rearrest. You got yourself a Confederate clusterfuck. Yeah, I think it'd be okay to solo because you pull a certain guy and then you just look at it and like, what are this guy's best options right now from what he has? And he only gets one action. So if his gun's jammed, he's probably gonna try to unjam it. If he's in the open, he's probably gonna try to get to cover. So I'm just painting these guys just because it's enjoyable, and there's a chance that we can play some games that are pretty cool with them. One thing you'll say is like, oh, well, the younger generation doesn't have the attention span for some of these games. But a lot of them have the attention span to play games that have a whole lot of grinding. And, that gets old for me. Before I got on here, I'm like, I'm a video game a little bit since I already packed and everything. And I was playing a mission on Borderlands. And you had to kill these exotic creatures, and so you gotta wait for them to spawn. A certain one will only spawn in a certain time, so you keep hopping in between places. And I got one. I played for about an hour and 15 minutes, and I got one, and I need 4 more to get them to complete that mission. But it's just something to do on the side, Play it for a little bit, put it down, move on. ACW. I don't understand how people in the other parts of the world even are interested in that, but okay. There's something about that period, just don't care for it. There's the period, and then there's also the, what do you mean both sides are American? That's boring. Kids in the store and like that, that's good. But there are a lot of things that young kids be like, oh, they don't have the patience. They got the patience for some things that some of us older people wouldn't have the patience for. Playing those games on mobile that aren't very good. I mean, not every kid, but I'm just saying, some do. This is the lady of the submachine gun. You got people in your family that go back to the ACW there, Nordic? I always think that's a big draw for people, and it makes sense. You know, it makes sense that would be a big draw. My people hadn't arrived on this continent yet, so. No appeal of that particular thing for me. Family roots date back to early colonial days. Yes, that's probably a good tie-in for you, you know? They actually have gaming going on right now. It's just kind of the unofficial first day of the show, but I went there one day on Thursday and it wasn't a good value. Okay, studio. Not a tie-in for you? Okay. Well, you know, when you're a kid, different things appeal to you. You know? First thing I got into was dinosaurs, and after that it was World War II ships. I didn't want to play a game that was like Battleship. I wanted to play something that was realistic. We can learn something. Got into it because your best friend was into it. Well, if your best friend was into jumping off a cliff, would you jump off a cliff? No, you let him go first. And if he makes it, then you try it. No cliff jumping here in Florida. Seventh grade history. Yeah, we did that stuff in sixth grade. The ancient Greek stuff. But I didn't know you could game that stuff. That would have been like awesome. Go back in a time machine to that period, you know, whenever that was. You're younger than I am, but that was still probably a while ago. Go to your social studies class and say something that's trendy now, but wouldn't have been back then, like, you know, Cleopatra was black. Romans were fascist. Some of the stuff kids do now, you couldn't get away with them back then. You couldn't get away with it back in the early mid '80s, you know. You couldn't get away with shit like that. You couldn't get away and, you know, wear one sock of one color and one of a different one. You have an atomic wedgie, man. Justin Sobaka. Is that a picture of you? Oh man, it's so small I can't see. I think you're eating something. Ribs. Excellent. I rarely eat them, but I do like them. Do you have a good palate, or are you one of those people that only eats meat and no vegetables? I had to eat everything at home, so it's actually beneficial. And the vegetables they give you in school are just horrible, or they used to be horrible. Like, of course nobody would like vegetables. That's ridiculous. Nobody's gonna eat that. Is this a lady? This a lady or a dude? I think I'm gonna make it a lady. She's got an MP40. Okay, so I've got like 4 ladies then. Okay. Unfortunately, none of them are what I would call attractive. But, you know, in rough times, you kind of have to get by with what you have. Well, if she's from today's world, she would be both. Well, at least the ones that are loud and vociferous would be both. There's still lots of old school people around. You just don't hear about them. We're too busy working. Don't eat candy or drink soda. Candy you could just get by. I'm on, how many days am I have no soda? Like 4. I'm doing pretty good. I refuse to give up ginger ale. I just drink soda because it's freaking easy. But isn't that the problem with everything? It's just easy. They're always trying to get people. People need to eat healthier. The easiest thing you could do is just ban drive-thrus. Panzerfaust Paulette, she's coming. She's coming, yeah. I wish I could do the voice for Tiny Tina. She'd be great with Tiny Tina. Panzer kaboom! Those people that made the voices for that game, man. That'd be like a dream job. They had some fun making those freaking games. I don't want to do the programming. I'm talking about the voiceover stuff. That's some hilarious shit. Panzerfaust Paulette. And she's armed with a pistol, too. So she has the most lethal weapon and the least lethal weapon all on the same person. Because the Panzerfaust, it's just a matter if it hits you. It pretty much can take out everything. It may not be able to take out like a... No, I think it can pretty much take out anything allied. It may not be able to take out like the front of an elephant or something like that, but that's about it. Front of a Yag tiger. Other than that, it's just toast. Just got to hit it though. You know, easy at these ranges. You know, that thing will probably go, I don't know what it is right now, but it'll probably go 30 inches away. What's that white square? Oh, this is just an extra stand, just an extra piece of, I'll wipe this down. It's just somewhere to put the black paint on. That's all it is. Somewhere to put this surface primer. Nothing fancy. few more to do. Got a guy with a shotgun and rubber boots. Must be a farmer. Heard that thing about rubber boots and livestock. Some things you hear and like, nah, that can't be true. Enough people say it, it must be true. Maybe not to everybody, but so for those just joined us, I'm on my way to our local convention tomorrow and Saturday. Come back on Sunday, not early, so we won't have any painting in the mornings over the weekend. Might have a Sunday evening painting session. This guy's the stopper. I'll say stop again. He's got a pistol. I always hear pistol and automatically think it's an automatic. I don't put revolver and pistol together. If I was going to call something a revolver, I'd call it a revolver. But that's just me. Guys, Citizens Auxiliary Police and this guy looks like he's dressed like a German officer. I'm not going to paint him. That looks like a guy that's batting for the other team. A bloody Jerry. Just doing World War II stuff, Justin. This is my first love was World War II stuff, and I got a lot of stuff for it. And just that. For this skirmish stuff. This guy's the guy that's going to be hard of hearing because the MG42 is being fired over his shoulder. Finally, I had my headache go away. Had a lingering one for hours. Probably hadn't had enough caffeine. Not enough coffee. Just laying off the coffee for a little while. and the soda, mainly just trying to control how much acid I'm taking in. I think I'm just taking on too much. Actually, I go to the shows and I don't really drink much soda. I drink a shitload of water because it's available everywhere. Caffeine withdrawal sucks. It hadn't been too bad. It hadn't been too bad. I actually don't have a problem with the caffeine. I just don't want to get it from coffee, man. I'm just really didn't. I've said it for a long time. I'm getting tired of the taste of it. It just has too much acid or whatever. I think it's eating up my stomach. Might as well do it now while I'm young enough to do something about it. Okay, now we have all of Le Resistance painted. And while we're at it, I know this guy's, since I found the screwdriver, wherever I left it, let's take this car apart and see what's inside. If I can. I just can't get enough of a grip on this. Let's try this. I can get something else, but I have this right here. No, that ain't gonna work. I've had this a long time. If not, I'll have to get a really long screwdriver. Get some extra leverage on it. I just don't want to go looking for it right now. I've got to turn it now. Don't tell me this is disconnected from the other thing, and this is spinning, but the other thing isn't. All right, we'll get a bigger screwdriver and do that. One that's got a little bit more leverage on it. Could probably stand to just buy one that's got a pretty long. I'm not a tool person. I got a lot of tools for this hobby, and I'm not somebody that's like, oh man, that guy's got all that crafting stuff. I don't give a shit about that stuff. My dad did. My dad was all into that stuff. He's kind of a jack of all trades and a university professor and all that kind of stuff too, so that's his shtick, not mine. I'm more artsy. Well, yeah, this thing will definitely have to be repainted. I'm gonna actually take the opportunity of painting the windows and doing the window. I've seen some window treatment that looks pretty darn good, stylized for the windows, and I think I'm gonna try that with these guys. They do have the side windows open, and it's just a matter of just doing it on the front ones. Is this one closed all the way in too, or has it got the side window? It's got the side things open. Okay. This one in particular is really going to look the part once we get that Johnny Lightning off there. And I don't know if I'm going to actually strip them. It's kind of a pain in the ass to strip them, only to get a little bit more detail out of them. I don't think I'm going to bother. We're going to paint them with the airbrush overall. But these will all have to be, you know, if they had solid windows on the side, I would just not worry about it. But there's going to be some of the detail showing on the inside. But you know, these are I'm sure 1/64th scale, and honestly, they look about the right size with the figures. The figures are a little bit bigger than they should be. Turning into a Mad Max car, that's a different car. That's a different game. That's a different game. I got stuff for Gaslands, but I got a handful of cars for those. Those actually turned out pretty well, but I love coming up with the names for those. But that's a different game, and I thought I was going to really get into that game, but it's just too big an ask. You know, I only have time for energy for do one thing. So if I'm going to have to do one thing, it's going to be this. So, but anyways, we're going to call this one a night, and we'll be back probably on Sunday after the show, and have some videos for you guys to take a look at, and hopefully you can check that out. Okay, until next time, guys have a good weekend, and we'll catch you